Hello! Right, I'm back again for another test, and today I've got what looks to be a rather painful looking pod, and yeah, a rather decent sized looking pod as well. This is another crazy cross from John, and this is the Chocolate Bhutlah, and yeah, it's a cross between the Naglah, which was originally a cross of Naga and a Douglah, and he's crossed that with the Chocolate Jolokia, and it's produced this, the Chocolate Bhutlah. And yeah, it's a pretty awesome looking pod, fairly decent size, and I'm pretty sure it's going to do a pretty decent amount of damage as well. Now I'm going to chop this one open. I am actually going to be collecting some seeds from this, but again, they're not going to be sent out to the general public. The seeds are actually being collected for John himself, because he wants to collect as many as he can of this variety. So yeah, let's see what we got inside. Okay. So the smell isn't like overly in your face powerful. It's got that typical chocolatey, earthy kind of smell, and not really too much fruitiness coming off it. Almost has like a green bell pepper smell. Sorry, I haven't actually shown you the inside yet. And yeah, it's got some oil on the walls of the pod, and yeah, generally all round looks a bit nasty and mean. So I'm just going to carefully scrape a few seeds out of here, and I'll try and do it as quickly as I can, so I know it's not that exciting to watch. There's quite a few seeds in there actually. I expected it to have a stronger smell, but I'm not going to let that deceive me, because who knows what damage this thing could do. Right, I think that'll probably do for seeds. A couple more there. Yeah, quite a few seeds in that, probably maybe 40 seeds or so I suppose come out of that. So yeah, right, here we go with the Chocolate Bhutlah. Cheers! Quite a big pod to get down, and initial thoughts on the flavour, it's not that great really. Quite bitter, earthy, and a couple of times a little bit of tanginess came through, but for the bulk of the top, flavour wasn't that great. But the heat, really going for the mouth, in particular the tongue, and it's just spread right around the tongue, and feels like a flame has just wrapped around it, and it's just pounding it with heat. And actually, because it's pounding my tongue so much, what little flavour there was there has completely gone. The pod has been sat in the fridge for a few days. Possibly that's done something to take a bit of flavour away. I'll have to ask John to see what he thinks flavour wise, but to me quite nondescript really. And the heat just still going from the tongue more than any other place. A little bit on the roof and the mouth, very little in the throat, but I got a feeling it's going to be one of those ones that stays in one place for a while and then starts to spread out, and in fact it's starting to track back now very slowly. Having said that, although it's pretty damn hot, it's not quite as hot as I expected, because the Naglah was pretty evil pod, and Naglah itself is now also available in chocolate forms. Well, not commercially available, but John's got quite a few chocolates growing, and I've actually got a chocolate Naglah plant here. This is an overwintered one, still stayed pretty small, but there are now some small pods appearing on it, and yeah, they will go chocolate because they were chocolate coloured last year, and yeah, pretty awesome variety. The reds are just killer evil pods, and in general they dish out some pretty decent damage. This one however pretty much peaked already actually. As I suspected, it's now kind of spreading out from the tongue to all other areas. It's going for the very front of my mouth, it's going from the gums. Still going more for the mouth and the throat. I can just feel it back in the throat, but only really when I swallow. And yeah, aside from that there's very little burn happening back there. So yeah, I'm going to say it's hot, but it can't be that crazy hot because I'm managing with it okay. Well, apart from the fact I got hiccups and I'm crying, you know, snotty nose and all the rest of it. But I haven't done a pod test for a few days again, so I thought it might affect me even worse actually. But no, recovery from that one's fairly swift. Probably the most damage that one's going to do is hitting the stomach because it was quite a big pod. So go ahead and grab some milk in a minute and see if we can prevent that from happening. But yeah, all in all, pretty decent pod, and like I said, not my favourite for heat, for flavour rather, but heat wise certainly got a good kick to it, and yeah. Now I've got the endorphins kicking in, which is always quite nice. So time to just sit, chill out, and enjoy that. I think, yeah, awesome. Lips still going off. Gums are now really, gums are just throbbing away, and yeah, I think it's just going to dance around the mouth and move about and generally cause a bit of gentle burning for a little while to come, I should imagine. So yeah, awesome. Right, thanks again to John for another ridiculous sized and gnarly looking pod to try, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you again very soon. Cheers.